We are this morning dealing with a fella that a situation we started talking about last Thursday night. Thursday night we met a blind man. Now, these guys that I'm going to talk about started Thursday night and I'm going to finish up today. They're people that were sitting on the side of life. They didn't fit in. They kind of were marginalized, but it seems like these are people who didn't get a good hand dealt to them. Anybody in here feel like you've been marginalized and sitting on the sideline and didn't get quite the deal you thought dealt to you? Yeah. Some of us feel like, man, we all from time to time question those sorts of things. Well, he's sitting by the road just trying to get through the day and just trying to make it happen. And he was just putting day together and trying to get through. But today we're going to meet a man that was sitting on the sidelines of life also. And this man wasn't blind, but he had some other physical problems. He was short. And I'm kind of short. And it is a physical problem from time to time, but I don't bump my head on stuff much. Now, people always get amazed at, they say, when I tell them about my high school experience, I played high school basketball. And they said, well, weren't you too short? I said, yeah, but I was slow. I don't know what that means either. But anyway, we're going to meet a guy today that was short, but his real problem was political. He was not in the political proper group. He was a turncoat. He was a person that had gone to the other side. It was a tax collector, is who he was, but he was collecting taxes for Rome, who had overrun the Jerusalem, Palestine, Levant area, and were taking charge of all of those things and collecting taxes from the local people. Now you can imagine how it would be if you lived in southwest Missouri and Mexico came up here and took over the country. And they hired local hillbillies like us to collect taxes from the other hillbillies. And you know what you'd think about those folks. You wouldn't like them at all, would you? We'd be mad at them and we'd all be talking bad about them. So this was a guy who was on the wrong side politically. He was a tax collector. He worked for the enemy. And so he wasn't very well thought of. And I thought to myself, there are people that I'll preach to this morning who aren't liked by everybody. Some of them are not happy with the condition of their life, the way things have turned out. They're just sitting beside the road trying to get by. So maybe there's some folks today who will benefit from what we learn in this story today. Now, the good news that I have for you today is that there is hope for everybody. I don't care who you are, what you've done, how things are going. There is hope for you, and things can get better. So you can be useful again. You can overcome the obstacles that are blocking you right now, and you can come out into the sunshine and enjoy the sun on your face. Today, I want you to meet Zacchaeus. Now, I'm going to take us all back to Vacation Bible School, Sunday school classes, years and years ago. I want you to go way back in your mind. And so let's see if we can sing together now. We're all going to sing Zacchaeus' song. Now, we got to do the actions and everything. All right? So are you ready? We're going to do it all. How many of you know the Zacchaeus song? All right? Okay. Those of you who don't, you just kind of join in. It's real simple. You'll figure it out. It goes like this. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. He climbed, climb a sycamore tree, for the Lord he wanted to see. Again, the Lord he wanted to see. Now, Jesus is going to come by, and as the Savior passed that way, he looked up in the tree, and he said, Zacchaeus, you come down. Because I'm going to your house today. Again, I'm going to your house today. We didn't have very many songs, so we had to put those verses twice. So, just joking. Zacchaeus, well, you did good. I'm proud of you. So give yourself a hand, you Bible school and Sunday school people. Oh, my goodness. Those were good days, weren't they, to remember those stories and songs. Well, today we are going to kind of get the handle on where this is coming from by realizing that Jesus has been passing down near the Jordan River, all the way from the Sea of Galilee up in the north. The Jordan River flows out of the Sea of Galilee, flows down to the Dead Sea. And Jesus has been moving south in that mountain range and that area for the whole time we've been studying in the book of Luke. And now today, he's approaching Jerusalem. He's about to come into the main target city that he started out for. Some have said as much as 3 years ago. But he's moving in that direction right now. And he's coming by Jericho. Now, Jericho is another story that we heard a lot about in Bible school, Sunday school. And in case you didn't, let me tell you a little bit about Jericho. Jericho is one of the oldest continually inhabited cities on planet Earth. On the entire planet. The people have lived longer in Jericho than just about anywhere else. It goes way back into antiquity, way back past the flood, way back to, the early days. So people have been living there for a long time. Jericho is the city that Joshua came to when he was bringing the children of Israel to the promised land. They'd come out of the wilderness, the desert of Sinai, and they had to go into the promised land. God told them to go in and take it. And Jericho was the first city that sat just on the other side of the Jordan River. They walked up to Jericho, and they had to take Jericho first before they could take over any of the rest of that area. Jericho was the fortress that guarded the entrance to the promised land. Now there's something about Jericho that causes some people some concerns. And let me tell you about what that is. When God told Joshua what to do with Jericho, God said some very strange things to him. Unusual things. Things you just didn't expect God to want to happen. But he said to Joshua, when you take Jericho, I want you to kill everything in it. I want you to, and it was, the Hebrew term is put it to the ban. Destroy everything. Kill the men, kill the women, kill the children, kill the cattle, the sheep, the goats, the dogs, the cats. Kill everything in the city of Jericho. Leave nothing. And he said also, I don't want you to bring anything out of it. Don't steal anything of the booty left over. Don't take out any of the gold, any silver. Don't steal any clothes from the clothes stores. Don't take any food out of it. You see, when the people of Israel, when they overcome a country or a city, often they would sacrifice the animals in that city to God. They would offer it as a sacrifice. God said, I don't want any of that. Don't offer anything to me. Burn it all. Destroy it all. Leave nothing. Put it to the ban. Now, I've often wondered and tried to explain to people, because this is confusing to people. This doesn't seem like something God would do. So God, what is going on here? All right. I'm going to tell you what was going on. The people who lived in Jericho were people who were very similar to Goliath. Does that ring a bell with you? You know who Goliath was? He was a Rephaim giant. He was a product of a crossbreeding program between fallen angels and human beings. And the people who lived in the city of Jericho were not human beings as you and I. They were people who had chosen completely with the fallen side. They're the Goliath group. They were the giants, the Nephilim, the Rephaim, and all that, who lived in the city. And God said, wipe it out. Leave nothing. Because he didn't want any of that genetic material to leave that city. He wanted it done there. Now, of course, we know it didn't completely get done, because later we meet Goliath and others. So we know the thing wasn't totally eradicated, but that's what was going on there. God wanted it wiped out. Now, and there's another lady we meet in Jericho, and her name is Rahab. Rahab was a lady who abetted the Jewish spies. She said, you guys can stay with me. I'll help you. I'll let you have a place. You can stay here while you're scouting out the city. And so when the whole army of Israel moved in and destroyed the city, they spared her. And one thing about her is odd, is that she wound up to be one of the great grandmothers of Jesus. She was in the line of the Messiah, Rahab. So, there's some good stuff could come out of bad stuff. Amen? Now I want to tell you today, I don't care what kind of mess you've come out of. I don't care what you've done, who you are, where you've come from, or anything about you. Good stuff can come out of bad stuff. And I'm going to tell you today how that happens and how that works. God chose this lady to put her to be a part of His family. Now, as Jesus passed through Jericho, He introduces us to this anti-hero of our story. But Zacchaeus is not the hero, but he's in the story prominently. And the best thing that we found out about Zacchaeus, he didn't have very many good qualities. He was short. He was a thief. He was a turncoat. He was a Benedict Arnold, as it were. There just wasn't much good about him, except one thing. You wonder what it was? He wanted to see Jesus. The good thing about Zacchaeus was he wanted to see Jesus. Let's read about it in verse 1. Verse 2. 19:2. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. All right, you can just see the little guy in the background jumping up, trying to look over everybody's shoulders. Can't see it, so he ran and climbed a tree. Now, here's where we are now, today with this story. Ready or not, Jesus is going to pass by your life. Ready or not, short or tall, in or out, bad or good, Jesus is going to come by your life. He's going to move through. He's going to walk near you. And that means He's going to come and offer you Himself, offer you redemption, offer you forgiveness, offer you a new start. Everybody's going to get that. Now you have to decide what you're going to do with it. You're going to have to decide if you receive it, accept it, reject it, run from it, ignore it. I mean, you get all those options. You have every option in the world. But if you make the right choices, some things can change. But if you make the wrong choices, listen now, you're going to always be sitting by the road watching things go by trying to get through the day. But life can be so much more than that and so much better. What do we know about Zacchaeus? What do we need to know about sitting beside the road when Jesus walks by? What do we need to be watching for and aware of? And the first thing I want to tell you is this, and please listen with all your heart. He has chosen you before you choose Him. Isn't that something? He's already chosen you, even before you choose Him. He's decided He wants to save you. He wants to offer you redemption. He has already picked you out for salvation. Let's read it here in verse 5. When Jesus reached the spot, He looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down. Immediately I must stay at your house today. Okay, let me ask you a question. Do we find anything in the story about where somebody told Zacchaeus, or told Jesus who Zacchaeus' name, what his name was? You find that in there? No. How did he know what Zacchaeus' name was? I don't know. But he knew it when he got there. He looked up in the tree. He said, Zacchaeus, I want you to come down. So that just goes to the point I'm trying to make is Jesus knows everything about you. Everything. Even before you know Him, or even before you have any interest in knowing Him, He knows everything about you already. And even though not everything He knows about you is good, because we're all bad people at times and in different ways, He still chooses us and wants to offer us salvation. He knew you before you're born. He knows everything about you. I'm going to read to you now a rather long Bible song out of Psalm 139. Psalm 139. I'm going to read just a little bit out of this because I want you to know this is what God knows about you already. Number one, let's go. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You're familiar with all my ways. Before a word is ever on my tongue, you know it completely. You hem me in, behind and before, and you put your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you're there. Let me say, if some of you are an astronaut and you go to the solar system or out into the universe, he's already there. He says, see, because if you go up to the heavens, you're there. If I make my bed in the depths, you're there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame is not hidden from you. When I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. That means that God knows every day of your life. He knows the first day and the last day. He knows every one of them. Before any of them came to be, He already knows them. Then it says, and I'm about done, how precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of the sand. When I'm awake, I'm still with you. Just as you are right now, and God knows, He probably knows you better than you know yourself. Oh, yeah. And just as you are right now, He has chosen you. He's picked you. He wants you to be in His family. And here's the next part of the sermon. And this is even more important than the first part of the sermon. And that we find is that He wants you, actually He wants to go home with you. He wants to go home with you. Now, before I preach this, I want to tell you, if you know, some people compartmentalize their lives. Let me tell you a few compartments of my life. I'm a farmer. I am a grandfather and a husband. I am a church worker. I am a neighbor. I am a member of a big family. I'm a brother. So I have a lot of compartments in my life. Now, some people put Jesus in their church compartment. In other words, He's good on Sunday, and they go to church, and they meet the Lord, they talk about the Lord, they sing the songs, but they don't let Him into any other compartment of their life. They want Him to stay safely hidden away. Don't impact my home life. Don't impact my farm. You stay in church. You're safe there. I don't want you to get in my life because I might have to live differently. I might have to do things differently. So that's what happens here. So let's read verse 6. And He said to Zacchaeus, come down, remember. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter. Mutter, 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 mutter. You know what muttering is? Anybody in here ever mutter, 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 mutter? And here's what they said. He's gone to be the guest of a sinner. Oh no, scandal. Jesus is going to go home with a sinner. Boy. All these good Christian Jews, I'm sorry, no more Christians. All these good Jews around here, and you're going to go home with a sinner? Yeah, He is. Now, here's the big deal. Here's what I got to tell you. Unless Jesus comes home with you, none of this stuff does you any good at all. None of this Jesus stuff helps you at all. If you keep Him in a church compartment, you never let Him get into the farm, the house, the family, the business, the school. If you never let Him get out of the church compartment, it does you no good whatsoever. Yeah, you may go to heaven. I mean, you might go to heaven if you've been saved. No doubt about that. But you never have any joy, never power, never hope. It never comes out good in your life if you keep Him compartmentalized. You must let Him come home with you. You must let Him tear down all the door barriers of your life and your compartmentalized existence. And you must let Him into every part of your life. You see, some people, they're godly people on Sunday. They talk with stained glass windows with pure King James English. when they're in church. They know all the these and thous. But when they get home, they act like the devil himself. I mean, they cuss their family, and they're mean to the dog, and you know what I'm talking about. Jesus wants to come home with you. Listen to me, dads. Dads, will you listen just a minute? If Jesus doesn't come home with you, and you really let him be in your home, your Christianity's not doing you much good. Moms, listen to me. If you don't let Jesus come into your home, how you treat people, your Christianity's not doing you much good. And kids, if you don't let Jesus come home with you, it's never going to work. He has to come home and get into every part of your life. And Zacchaeus did it. He jumped right out of the tree. Jesus said, I want to go home with you. And everybody growled about it, but they went home. And so Jesus took him home with him, and they had lunch together. Now here's what we notice about Zacchaeus. I don't know whether time has passed between verse 7 and 8. I don't know. But apparently some things have passed. Maybe we're the next day. Maybe it's later that afternoon. But verse 8 says, But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount that I've taken. What am I trying to tell you? Something changed in the life of Zacchaeus. He's a different dude. He's not the same guy that went up the tree. He went up the tree, a skinflint, turncoat, mean, ornery rebel. And when he came down, the next time we hear him talk, he's giving money away. He's different. Something's happened to him. Now, if you will allow Jesus to go home with you, and you truly let him into all the compartments of your life, I want to promise you one thing. Nothing will ever be the same. He will change every part of you. Anything you let him in, he changes for the better. Everything and anything. Remember, the rich young man told him he wanted to know how to inherit eternal life. Jesus said, give away all you got and come follow me. Something about when you come to Christ, it creates in you a sense of generosity. It creates in you a sense of otherness, others first. It changes your total perspective in life. Before you're first, but now after Christ comes in, you see other things. You see things differently. So if you let him into your life, I can promise you, you'll never be the same again. Now, I'm going to tell you now another profound statement, and that is this. If I were to ask you before we went into church today, why did Jesus come to earth? We could have all given a vacation Bible school or Sunday school answer. He came to die on a cross. We give him some safe religious answer. Now I'm going to give you the true bottom line answer. Why did Jesus come to earth? Verse 9. Jesus said to him, Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. Verse 10. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. He came to seek and to save the lost. See, he called himself the Son of Man. He was the Son of Man. He was the Son of God. I'll talk about that sometime in more detail. But this is a Jesus terminology. This is code for Messiah language. And he said, I have come to seek. Seek is what? To look at, to watch, to look for, and to save the lost. Now, today, there probably are lost people in this room. You say, well, preacher, I've been saved, been baptized. I'm not lost. I know that. I'm not talking about that so much. But you've lost what? Lost your vision for life? Maybe you've lost your purpose. Maybe you've gotten confused with the things you've been told, the things you've been taught. And, where you think, well, if I don't get all I can and be mean, and if I don't step on others and climb to the top, I'll never amount to anything in my business. And you kind of bought into this world's dream and vision, and you've lost your godly vision. You've lost what Jesus saved you for. There's a lot of ways to be lost, but Jesus came to seek and to save lost people. People up a tree. You see, we speak idiomatically, hillbilly, hick. When we say somebody's up a tree, what do we mean? He's in trouble, isn't he? He's up a tree. The coon dogs have got him treed or something. He's up a tree. Well, what we mean now is that there are people here who are up a tree. You don't know what to do. You don't know whether to sit up there and spit and whittle or get down and run. I mean, you don't know what to do because life's got you confused. So you're kind of lost for your direction. Let Jesus in your life, and He will give you a new direction, because He came to seek and to save the lost sinners. What's a lost sinner? Well, it's somebody that's not going to heaven. Somebody's going to hell. Why are they going to hell? Because Jesus hadn't found them yet. Because they've not let Jesus come home with them yet. And that's the only reason, and I say this so much here at the Cowboy Church, is that the people go to hell because they don't believe in Jesus. People go to heaven because they do believe in Jesus. And so that's the category. Maybe today you don't believe. And if so, I encourage you to change your mind and your heart and receive Jesus. Let Him into your life. Get out of your tree and let Him go home with you. You don't have to stay lost. Zacchaeus didn't stay lost. He went home, and Jesus went home with him. So are you ready to get out of your tree? Come on out of your tree. It's not safe up in that tree, but it's safe in the arms of Jesus. You're going to be hated up in the tree. You're going to be loved when you go home with Jesus. Whatever you need, go home with Jesus, and you'll find it.